Good morning and welcome to Better Thyself segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. I recollect I was the chair of a selection committee and the post of that of a general manager, a very highly qualified, capable, with all the excellent credentials was being interviewed. And after the interview, the remark usually was, this gentleman is capable, but he is extremely confused and lacks self-confidence. And then I remarked, is he responsible for that? Yes, he is confused. Yes, he lacks self-confidence. But who is responsible for this? Are you all not? And then I thought of this. Why do kids become fearful of facing the realities? Why do they lack confidence? Why is it that we make them afraid of facing the facts? And I understood and deduced, and which I believe now to be borne out by my observation, that we are all the time in a very loving manner are confusing kids, instilling fear in them and lowering their self-confidence. And this is by telling them to be careful, be careful. If you have ever watched yours, not such a footed kids as ascend a tall, very tall rope climbing structure at the playground. Have you ever seen your children hoist themselves atop a large wobbly log in the woods? Or attempt the monkey bars alone for the first time? You immediately say, be careful, you'll fall. And you say it in good spirit. You don't want the arms to get broken at the playground. And nobody wants a trip to the emergency room. Yes. But what happens is that this concept of be careful 100 times a day makes them afraid of doing anything, stops the spirit of adventure. And there are several reasons for this oft-repeated parental admonition that can do more harm than good. And it's always more harm, let me tell you. They say the way to the hell is paved with good intentions. And this is compounded by the teachers who don't want them to take action, because if something happens in the school, then the teachers and the principal would be responsible, so the children must be careful. And then that results to enable kids lack risk awareness, but they engage in safe behavior. And safe behavior is a sure shot recipe for disorder, lacking confidence. Why saying be careful is ineffective? Have you ever thought? Every sentence you tell your children should be specific. Be careful is not specific. An urgently shouted word, be careful, can mean anything. It can mean watch it for the tree branch, or there is a tantrum on your head. And when we say be careful, our kids are not sure what there is to be careful about. You careful about what? About climbing or about falling? Careful about yourself or careful about the tree? Secondly, this word is overused, and we know that anything which is overused loses its significance. It has been ingrained knee-jerk phrase that we say time out of number. And for every situation, whether it's a huge situation or a minor thing, we always say when they are about to jump into a wall, when they are getting out of the tub even. And frequently uttered, this non-specific phrase loses the meaning. And the sensible children would ignore it, but the not so sensible children would get afraid because it instills fear. How often do we say be careful because we are afraid? Not the child is afraid, it's our fear, and we are expressing it in the shape of this shout, be careful, and that is transmitting our fear to the children's fear. If we are honest, the compulsion to say usually comes from a place of our own anxiety. And that anxiety we transmit unnecessarily, of course, to our children. While kids need to be aware of the situations and physical risk, teaching them to be afraid of playing and other activities can create a resistance to trying new things. Risk has to be there. We always say no risk, no gain. And then we tell them not to take risks. Tell them to be careful about not doing it. Yes. Tell them to wear a helmet, not to bike. So, the result, what happens? They are creating in the minds a resistance of trying new things. And over time, this resistance to trying out new things becomes lack of self-trust. And when you lack self-trust, naturally there's a lack of self-confidence and you become a moron. Thirdly, fourthly, it's not specific, it's overused, it's instills fear, and then it inhibits the development. The research has shown that imposing too many restrictions on children, outdoor risky behavior, is injurious to them. And this research conducted by about 6 universities found that the increased opportunities for the nature and risky play, it results in enhanced self-confidence. It also creates capability of self-regulation. It also creates in the child a spark of creativity and actually reduces the risk of injury. And have you seen, now in the schools they'll be sand, you are not allowed to jump, you are not allowed to climb the trees and like that. But in our days, when we did it, were the injuries more than they are now? No. Imposing these risky children hinders their development, as I said. And not only that, if you are constantly intervening, telling them, be careful, don't do it, you are robbing your children of the opportunity to calculate and manage risk for themselves. And if a child can't manage the risk himself or herself, then the child is lacking a critical skill. Managing your risk is a major critical life skill. And you are, as a parent and as a teacher, killing that spirit. And more we condition them to rely on external sources to alert them to the danger, you are an external source. It's not their gut. Even a child knows that if he falls, he'll hurt himself. So, then they rely less on their own skills. They lose trust in their own skills and instincts. And when that happens, they cannot take up challenge when they grow up. So now you would be asking me if you don't have to admonish them, shout at them, not repeat, don't do it, stop it, then what do you say? Now, I agree that as a parent or as a teacher, you want to prevent injury. And the kids, not widely known for their prudent decisions, need guidance. That I don't deny. So how can you constructively encourage them to develop situational awareness, assess risks, and problem solve without being afraid, without being averse to risk taking? First step, as a caregiver is to notice and interrupt the habit of saying careful every time you sense a whiff of danger. That's why the children who are overprotected are always losers. So you have to learn to stop this habit. Ask yourself, is there a risk, serious risk right now? And if there is no serious risk, shut up. Resist the urge to toss out your be careful and try the alternatives. Alternatives are notice how you are jumping. Do you see the ground? Do you see the branch can likely to break? That's fine. Train yourself to restrain and train your child to become more aware of their surroundings in situations involving their own safety. Let the child become more aware of the surroundings without telling them what to do. For example, tell them notice how the rock is slippery. Notice how deep the water is. Do you see that broken step? Do you see a way down? Do you see that wasp over there? You are doing the same thing, but in a manner which enables the child to take a preventive step himself. Next is, do you feel? Make your child check with their emotional and physical experience. And you can do it by pausing and evaluating what's going beneath the surface. And let me tell you, this capability of pausing and evaluating what's underneath the surface, many even grown-ups lack because of their parental miscoaching. Tell the child only, are you okay? Are you feeling safe? Do you feel stable? Do you feel tired? Do you feel how hot the stove is? Children themselves burn. Don't tell them, don't put your hand, you'll burn it. No. Can you feel how hot the stove is? And the child would understand it. Then, ask the child what's the next move. Give your kids a chance to problem solve and create their own action plan. You have told the child, watch out for the branch, you may fall down. This is their step. Now you ask the child, what's the next move? Let them solve the problem. Let him make his own action plan. If they climb very high to an edge, need to cross the racing stream, instead of offering a solution, ask, what's your next move? What do you think you should do next? And then tell them to try. When your children are uncertain and ask for help, don't give them the answers wholesale unless they are in danger. Yes, if they are in danger, it's incumbent on you as a parent to help them. But otherwise, don't do it. Encourage them to try different things. Child is swimming and he can't swim. Tell him, try using your arms. Try moving your feet slowly. Try going sideways. Give them suggestions, but let the children do it themselves. Try doing it. Try. Then, 4 words. Who, what, where, how. Encourage your kids to consider the possibilities, next steps, logical consequences, and resources available to them. With the questions, who, what, where, how, questions. Who will go with you? What will you do with this stick? Where will you put your backpack? How will you get down? And that would instill the children to think what to do. They'll be able to analyze the situation. And then remember, use this word remember. Don't nudge the kids to remember their surroundings. Just nudge them. Be careful about the surroundings. You should know how deep the water is. You should know if the branch by which you are holding yourself, is it strong enough? If you are jumping on the wall, is there a place for the footstep? And any potential negative outcomes can go a long way Tell the children, remember, rocks are heavy and can hurt people. Remember, sticks are sharp and need lots of space. Remember, not everyone likes to swing that high. And then the last thing, be a sport. Tell the children, I'm here if you need me. You do it. But if you need me, call me out. Don't you call out the child. Let the child call you out. One of the best things you can do to your children, again, when there is no immediate danger of serious physical harm, is to shut up. I know it's very hard to watch them engage in behaviors that carry risk. But they need time and space to learn to navigate life's challenge themselves. And the best parenting is offering, I'm here if you need me. And say this and get out of their way. And the result would be, your children would be great human beings. And that's what you want to be. You want your children to be great, the way you want to be great yourself. So stop being an unnecessary sport, because then the child becomes a creeper, not a strong oak tree, and you want the child to be strong. You want the child to be confident, self-reliant, risk-taking, risk analysis, and everything. So change your vocabulary and help your children become better human beings. Thank you.